New York City, WOR. James, you're next up. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Dr. Savage. Thank you very much, sir. First of all, listen, so I'm not political, so I don't know a lot of political terminology, but I would say this. Back in the 60s when President Kennedy was faced with this decision,
yes.
He found he had to make a decision to threaten Russia to remove those missiles from Cuba. Mm-hmm. And I would, as a president, if I was, not a weak president, I would threaten North Korea with the same thing, possibly like that, and I would let them know that you're not going to just threaten my country with your nuclear missiles, and you're going to do something. I'm going to do something about it to remove those missiles from there.
Well, you don't need to know politics, or you don't need a PhD to understand reality here. You got a man who is unstable with a Hiroshima-sized weapon, threatening to destabilize the world, telling America to go to hell, that you're too weak to stop me, and you understand what goes on in a neighborhood when a bully comes along with a weapon like this.
But Michael, Dr. Savage, but it takes a strong president, and this president is weak. He's a showcase. When my people, the blacks, were yelling for a black president, I said to some of my people, you better be careful about what you ask for, because you just might get it. And now with his wonderful words and his eloquent of how he pronounced things, this man is nothing but, I feel, a plant.
No, he's over his head. He's not capable of this. This is a man who, let us say, had a lot handed to him, and he believes that all that matters is that race and gender play a role in every political decision. What he doesn't understand is that there are times that you have to put aside your left-wing politics and start acting as the president of all the people. And I don't think he's done that yet.
I don't think he's done that either, Dr. Savage. I think that this man has turned his eye even to the flag, to God, to Jesus, to this doggone country. And I'm wondering, when are we going to wake up and see that this man is put in place?
Well, what are we supposed to do if we realize the king has no clothes and he's not capable of defending us? Tell me what we're going to do. He seems to be the kind of president that if, God forbid, North Korea launched against Hawaii, he'd get up and give another speech that he's going to go to the UN and we're going to do this and pass a sanction. I don't think this man is capable of defending us as commander-in-chief.
Well, you know something, that brings up another issue. This is why the mafia, even though they can be as vicious as they are, not all of them are wartime mafia figures, and they will normally place somebody who's got experience in this area in that position. We don't have the right kind of president to be placed that's in that position.
You're right. We have a peacetime leader when we need a wartime leader. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And look who's next in line. Look at who's next in line, Joe Biden. Take a look at that one.
Well, you know something?
Wait, let's go down the list. Let's go to the next. The third one is Nancy Pelosi. Today, from China, where she ran away to hide because she attacked the CIA and was getting hammered, she ran to China to some environmental conference. Suddenly, Miss Human Rights had nothing to say about human rights violations. Today, from China, she says the first thing she's going to do when she comes back is not act about North Korea, but she's going to try to make sure that gays can get married. You hear this?
Well, you know what? This president is not even stepping into policies through that which this country has stood for in the past. He's changing everything around. Different political figures here are just running amok with how they want to do things. There's no control. It's out of hand.
Well, you've proven yourself wrong by telling me that you don't know politics, James. I have to disagree with your first statement.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr.
James, I got to ask you a personal question. We don't know each other. How long have you been listening to Michael Savage in New York on WOR?
Possibly since you came on about 2 or 3 years ago, sir.
So you don't find that because I'm not black, I'm not worth listening to?
Well, I'm going to put it like this here to you, sir. If you should leave radio, I don't know what's going to happen with me from hearing the truth, and I feel that you're about one of the few figures who speak the truth on radio, and you're not scared of policy, because these are your beliefs, and this is how you feel. And I've been influenced by a lot of the things that you said, Dr. Savage.
James, I'm 67 years old. I wouldn't say I had a hard life compared to most, but I didn't have an easy life compared to most either. And I want to say this. There's very little time left to negotiate with Iran and North Korea. I do not think that the time is over, but I think we're right near midnight. And I believe that if these people are allowed to grow fatter, we're going to be victimized by them.
Well, you know what I would like to say in closing, Dr. Savage? Even though you're who you are and I am who I am, I would call you brother in a minute because I love you. I respect you, sir. And I would say, even though I live in the Bronx, New York, you know, if I had the means to get to you if you were in trouble, I'd be one of the first ones there to defend you, sir.
Wow. Well, you brought a lot of warmth to my heart. James, let me send you a gift. That's all I got to give you, is a copy of my book, Psychological Nudity, because it has so many stories from my growing up. I think you'd enjoy it, so stay on the line. That's beautiful. You know, it's interesting to me that I came up with the three topics. I came up with that. I mean, this is a day made for talk radio. North Korean nukes and Obama's failure to act. Gay marriage shot down by the Supreme Court in California, which I thought was a shock, by the way. This is a very liberal Supreme Court that has traditionally overturned the people's will. I have no idea why they did this. And Chairman O's pick for the Supreme Court, the radical, less than supreme pick that he has chosen. And, you know, I find it offensive to hear that he picks Latino. What does that mean? I'd rather hear that he picked a genius. I don't care if the genius was black or Hispanic or Asian, gay or straight. I wouldn't care. All I want is a fair justice, and I don't see a fair justice. I see a person who's imbalanced and incapable of judging fairly. She said, and I'm quoting now, "I would hope that a wise Latina woman with the richness of her experience would more often than not reach a better conclusion than a white male," close quote. To me, it's an open and shut case. She has disqualified herself on many counts. And again, I want to ask you, what if back in 2005, while Samuel Alito was being vetted by the communist press, someone had unearthed a speech in which he had said earlier, quote, "I would hope that a white male with the richness of his traditional American values would reach a better conclusion than a Latina woman who hasn't lived that life," close quote. And what if he then went on to speak of, quote, "inherent physiological or cultural differences that made him more qualified"? Tell me what the communist press would have done then. I'll be right back.